Okay, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the ALLT 2020 Fall Forum organization team, I would like to welcome you all. The ALLT Fall 2020 Forum is organized in collaboration with Zayed University and the Higher Colleges of Technology. My name is Imad Mahafza, and I will be moderating this session in virtual room 3 until 1:30 or 1:25 p.m. The speaker will be speaking for 15 to 20 minutes max, followed by 5 minutes discussion. You are welcome to write your question in the chat box function during the presentation. As the moderator, I will collate your questions and pose them to the presenter in the last 5 minutes of the session. I will give a polite reminder to the speaker of the time once the time remaining after 15 minutes of the talk has passed. I would also like to remind you that our distinguished keynote speakers will bring the forum to a close from 2 p.m. to 3:20 p.m. in virtual room 6. Please be sure to join the keynote sessions. Without any further ado, let me present to you Dr. Lana Hiasat and Dr. Ghada Ali from UAE. Please introduce yourself. And the presentation is Making the Transition of Blended Learning to Fully Online. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ghada Ali, faculty teaching math and programming in the engineering department at Dubai Men's College. I have been in the education system for more than 20 years, my last 18 years in HCT. I am a course team leader for more than 15 courses in the system and assessment leader for 11 years. Today, Dr. Lana and myself would like to share with you our research study based on a reflective theoretical framework. We collected reflected data from 2 different divisions, engineering and general studies, during the transition period when the institution moved from a blended learning environment to fully online learning environment. And as a result of this transition, we proposed our recommendations for effective online teaching in higher education. So our research went through 3 phases. The first phase, we discussed the research plan and we decided on a time frame for collecting the data. Then after we collected the data within over a period of 8 weeks from March 22nd to until May 17. And the third stage, we started writing our research project, and we've been meeting on a weekly meeting to discuss the progress and analyze the result of our research. Dr. Lana?
Thank you, Ghada. I'm Lana Hiasat, also from Higher College of Technology, Dubai Men's, and I'm a faculty and program team leader with many years of experience there. So as Ghada explained, we are here to share with you our study that we have completed during the pandemic, the transition to fully online. And the theoretical framework for our study that we have decided on was based on ORID structured reflection. We've decided on this focused conversation method that has 4 levels: objective, reflective, interpretive, and decisional, because we wanted to acknowledge the different elements we were feeling in during this transition, not just the emotional feelings. Next slide. All right, so first I'm going to share with you my reflection based on the general studies observations. So during this period from 8 weeks, from March until May, we kept an Excel sheet with our weekly reflections and also our weekly meetings where we discussed what was going on as we were doing this transition. The first level of reflection was objective level, and this level talks about what was happening and what was going on. So we were trying to document what was going on in this class. There were some positive. I'm just going to summarize and highlight the main things. There were positive and some negative things. So the couple positive things were that student attendance improved more than 50% after the third week of going fully online. Online assessment tools worked very well, which was also documented in our reflection. However, there were some negatives where lesson preparation was exhausting, very time-consuming, and the students didn't seem to read the communication that we relied on, which is the official emails. And therefore, we ended up chasing up students most of the time. Next slide, please. On the reflective level, which is acknowledging how we felt during this period and a summary of the 8 weeks, there were some, again, positive and negative things. The positive emotions, the most important one was that we felt there was hope in sense of that this kind of format is actually working because we felt it was successful and it worked really well. However, on the other flip side of it, we felt fatigue. A lot of fatigue of working long hours, chasing up after students, and it felt quite exhausting. There were other also emotions, but these were the main two things. On the interpretive level, which is where we were examining and documenting what we have learned from this experience on a weekly basis, and some of the key points that came up after 8 weeks was that most things, measuring student level of engagement seemed to be the #1 concern for us in this online environment. And this is also the same thing when you go back to the blended learning environment. How do you measure that students are actually engaged and not just logged into the technology? The second main point that we have noticed that technology is delivering much faster than the speed of students' ability to comprehend the content. There are lots of free riders, unfortunately, which we identified, and those needed to be identified quite early on. And students also required a lot of training in this transition of online. Even though they are familiar with using technology and their mobile phones, but they are not familiar in learning fully online. And assessment, we realized quickly that needed to be changed to fit this delivery. And the last level, which is a decisional level, and this is where we examine, so what does this mean for us? The main things that came up, and we will talk about our recommendations, which Ghada and I have come up with 2 different programs, because our observations were based on humanities, the general studies, and engineering mathematics. So these are the sciences and the applied sciences and the social sciences programs, and we have come up with noticed some very similarities and general ideas. So in the decisional level, we noticed that we need to check new ways of checking students' comprehension of what instructions we're giving, and this is specific to this cultural context. We have to allow students more time because, like I said, technology is moving much faster than students' ability to comprehend and cognitive ability. We do not need to do live lessons for 2 hours as a traditional format of teaching, and online sessions need to be much shorter and more engaging. We need training and alternative means of assessments, which will be discussed in a little bit. I'm going to give the floor now to my colleague Ghada to give her reflections from the engineering mathematics division.
Thank you, Dr. Lana. My presentation reflects my practices, lesson learned, and my observation made on online teaching during the lockdown period. My reflection categorized in 3 main points: course preparation and delivery, assessment, and student challenges to learning and academic performance. So in course preparation, I found that creating an online class is a collaborative project between the EdTech team and the teacher or the instructor. Actually, without the learning management system, we cannot create any online session, and without the IT support as well. In our institution, we use Blackboard Collaborate Ultra to deliver our online sessions. Also, for the instructor, he needs to attend professional development sessions to gain the skills, the IT skills required for developing the teaching material before the online delivery. Another thing, another point here, since it is a virtual environment, so the teacher needs to provide a detail-oriented note, clear directions for the students for all course activity, the online activity, illustrating the learning outcomes of that activity. The last, in the preparation, I felt that the teacher needs to build a virtual community of trust with his students by adding cognitive presence, instructor presence, and a social presence to let the students get to know each other. I found some recommendations for a smooth online session here. The teacher or the instructor needs to remain active online, replying to the student's email as soon as it's possible, and has sufficient IT skills in using the teaching tools. Also, he needs to continuously giving feedback for using different tools, like using the discussion board and giving positive feedback for all his students, or using the chat box, etc. Also, he needs to deliver the session in high level of energy to keep to motivate the students and keep them positive. The second part in my reflection is the assessment. Actually, this was the biggest challenge in the at that period. All teachers, academic managers, team leaders discussed different ways, different types of assessments to find the best way to evaluate our students' learning. Our programs are following international standards. All types of assessments were aligned to their program accreditation, and course learning outcomes are mapped to the CAA credential. So the final decision was using the e-assessment or the online assessment using respondents lockdown monitor. Now, the e-assessment was a remotely proctored exam conducted through a sophisticated software respondents lockdown monitor, allows the students to take a proctored exam from remote location, and the software captures their video and audio while they are doing their exam. We all, teachers and students and academic managers, we practiced a mock test before applying this online assessment. to ensure exam security and smooth delivery of the online assessment.
Okay, 5 minutes reminder.
Thank you. The last one, student challenges to learning and academic. There are many challenges, but I summarize them. Motivation and engagement, it was difficult. Technical issues when the internet drops down and disconnects the session. Lack of digital literacy. This means the lack of the communication etiquette using the online session. A class preparedness. Students need to be prepared before they log into the session because they have to bring all the required stationery before they join the session. Health and stress. Sitting in front of the computer for long hours cause a lot of health problems like back pain, neck pain, eye problems, anxiety, depressions. All these health problems affect their performance. Some positive outcomes by the time we get them. Attendance was very high during the online session. Students became more responsible concerning time management because we are using an automated system and all the due dates are on the calendar. Students' engagement in class discussion improved. This is for the silent students. They found it very easy to speak in the online environment. And the last students at different levels of study becomes more reliant. At the end of our research, we proposed our recommendations. So the first recommendation was on-site exam assessment or final, especially the final assessment, it should be on-site. Dr. Lana, would you like to?
Yes, very briefly, we're running out of time, so I'd like to just say assessment strategies, we proposed that there have to be different types of strategies, not just your like BB Learn exams, but a lot of different strategies. And most important, I'd like to focus on is the mode of course delivery that we found was very problematic. Teaching 2 hours of fully online was not efficient way of spending our time of like for just, you know, because online doesn't work the same as a face-to-face. So our proposal and based on our finding recommendation is that the students can have recorded screencasts or plenary lectures which are recorded, they watch them, they have some follow-up questions, but then the live session should be much shorter and should be used for projects, for question and answer, for assessments, and for more interactive activities rather than the teacher lecturing. That could reduce the fatigue and the time that preparation that is needed for a live session. The next recommendation was future-ready student is basically try to focus the skills and change the online delivery to prepare students for the skills they need in the future. And the rest of them are basically things we already talked about, but we have a few minutes. Maybe we can move to number 7, Ghada.
Using artificial intelligence-based e-learning platform, it should be actually this recommendation we included newly because we are researching about the artificial intelligence-based e-learning platforms, and we recommend that the university should be looking at the AI to save teachers' time and allow them to focus on the actual job, which is teaching and doing research. I just want to add one statement, my last statement here. This crisis has reminded us of a forgotten fundamental principle. There is no substitute for a good teacher. Technology in today's world is necessary in the educational aspect. It should be used to support the teacher, not replace them. Thank you very much. Maybe Dr. Lana would like to talk about the artificial intelligence.
Sure.
One more minute.
I have 1 minute. Yes. So I have 1 minute. So basically, our further research, if anybody would like to know what we're doing next, just like the previous presenter, she was talking about the future of e-learning. So our focus in that is how to use AI-based artificial intelligence for e-learning platforms. Can you move the next slide, Ghada, please?
Sure. Sorry.
So basically what we are planning to do starting from January is to know how we can automate the mundane tasks that we usually do in teaching and try to use artificial intelligence for that instead and try to focus what Ghada said on actual teaching, which is facilitating learning and so on. So this is our project, and thank you for your listening, and any questions and comments we can help answer.
Yes, thank you both. We have a question from Richard Nelson. Should there be clear boundaries for times and expectations of communications with the students? Online learning can disrupt time boundaries and put a pressure on the instructor to communicate instantly, whatever the time.
Absolutely. Can I answer that, Ghada? Is that okay?
Sure. Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Each one can take 2 minutes if you like. Each one can take 2 minutes. Okay.
Sure. So one of the things that we have noticed is that we were so tired, and as Ghada was saying, the health problems that we have faced teaching online, it seems there are no time boundaries. Emails were sent long hours, after hours, expectations. So I think setting guidelines to students saying you can expect an answer within these hours or then whatever, that helps kind of to reduce the expectations. And I absolutely agree with that. I don't know.
I would like to add one thing also. We had like sessions, continuous sessions, like 4 hours in a row, sometimes 6 hours in a row. This is also should be considered. The session should not last more than 1 hour. Breaks between the sessions, a minimum of 15 minutes to stretch, to stand, to drink water. If there are more than 1 or 2 sessions in a row, it should not be more than 4 sessions, because students, how can they learn for more than continuous hours? Even the teachers, like we suffered from back pain, neck, eye problems with the continuation of the sessions and the emails in between and replying to the students and the admin work.
Okay, great. Last question from Richard Nelson. Was there any complaints from students about the proctored exams invading their privacy by videoing them in their living space?
Yes. Yes, there was. Yes, we had big discussions about students saying, you know, I am in a house where I have my family, I have my sisters, and these are male students, so they're saying, I'm not going to show my video, not on the screen during the lesson or during that. So what we have done is that we said during the assessment, we put it as a requirement. It came from the institution, not from the teacher, saying this is a requirement that you have a quiet place suitable for you to take the assessment. But during lecture time, when we had these live sessions, they were not, they were fine without the video, because we could understand culturally it may not be proper to invade their privacy inside their homes. But for the assessment, we had to know that this is the student taking the test.
We have our policies and regulations, so we have to follow this. Even students, they oppose this at the start, but we have policies and they have to follow.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, both Dr. Lana Hiasat and Ghada Ali, for a wonderful presentation and for all the interesting questions and feedback. Our next session will start at 1:30 p.m. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.